Hello, welcome to Michaela Moves On. Well, as you can see, very unglamorous. I'm at Aston Clinton Recycling Centre. We used to call these the tip or the dump, very unglamorous. And as I drove in, I felt a little bit like, obviously not as intense, just slightly like I do when I'm going to a funeral. I'm a weirdo, I know, because I'm just getting rid of some stuff that I've hung on to. Basically some of my photography work, but for clients from the very early years of my photography business. They've had their photos. I've got a box of negatives. They've all been digitised. I don't need to keep them, and they're using up space. And if I want to go and live on a boat, I'm going to have to really get rid of stuff. And mentally I need to as well. Why am I hanging on to this? I've always found it really hard to let go. In general, I think that's pretty common. I guess we form attachments to things, memories, people, and even some of the weddings in my early days. I can remember shooting the wedding down in Sussex. Oh, there's a big truck coming now. Anyway, I remember shooting a wedding down in Sussex, and straight after the wedding I went to see my family because they only lived 20 minutes away in Eastbourne, and that was when my mum was still alive and two of my nephews were really young. I actually do remember that day, that wedding, and then going to see them afterwards. So it's even silly things like that. I just form all these connections, and then it makes the attachment stronger. But I need to put a sensible head on. I've got to get rid of stuff. So here we go. I've got a box of old negatives. I've got well, it's down there somewhere. I've just got a little wheelie suitcase. I am really nuts. I was even kind of felt weird about getting rid of that. I've had it about 20 years. It's got a stain on the front, and the front zip is broken. And I still thought, oh, but maybe it might be useful on the boat. No, Michaela. Just let go, get rid of it. Yes, went on lots of holidays with it and had fun, and you had good memories. But it's got a stain on it and the zip's broken. Get a grip, woman. I've also got a bag in there with some old clothes that aren't good enough now to put in a charity shop, because either, again, they've got a stain on or holes or whatever. One of them, unfortunately, is the jacket my mum wore to my wedding. Hey, major attachment there. I tried to get the stains out and I couldn't, so I'm just going to put it in the ragging thing. Mixed textiles. I don't know what they do with it, but I think I need to read Marie Kondo again. The joy of tidying up. She sends things off, thanking them and all that. I try and do a little bit of that now, just to make myself feel better. Oh, please tell me I'm not the only one. Am I actually nuts? Am I? What else have I got? Yeah, so it's my suitcase, a bag of stuff to go in the rag, some negatives, some old albums. I think that's it. I've also got some stuff at the studio, like props and things and bits and bobs of clothing for portraits and boudoir that I haven't, well, some of the stuff I bought and never used. So I just need to get rid of stuff. I've just noticed today, all right, I'm a bit hormonal today, that doesn't help. I just felt surrounded by stuff. I've been sorting things out in the studio, but there's so much stuff that I've got to get rid of it. It's just not good for my head at the moment. I need a clear head. I need a clear studio. I've got a photo shoot on Saturday. I want the space to have good energy in it and to free it up a bit. So anyway, we're giving my stuff a send off, so I shall sort that out now. See you later. Bye. Thank you for serving me and stuff. Bye. What am I doing? Why am I saying bye? Oh gosh, bye. Well, that's it. Okay, I've done it now. Oh dear. Right, next bin I've got to go to. Oh god, I just had a major panic. I thought I'd put my phone in the recycling bin because I couldn't find it, but it wasn't in the bin. I just found it, but I had to stop the car. Anyway, bye suitcase. Oh god, don't let go of stuff when you're hormonal. I've realised this was not a good day for it. Or maybe it is. Maybe it will be. I don't know. I think I might need chips and a bottle of red wine tonight. Photo albums. Obviously not me and my family. It's just business stuff. you know, my sample albums for weddings and portraits, but I don't need it anymore. Come on, deep breath, Michaela. Well, second panic was I thought I'd throw my car keys in with the photo albums, and I've just been looking for them, but they'd fallen down the side of the seat, so it was fine. Hormones. Right, I'm going back now. I'm going to go for a walk, actually. That'll clear my head, and perhaps I'll get some sense back. So, third and final scare of the trip to let go of my stuff was I got out of the car, the reservoir, so I'd go for a nice walk, and can't find my purse. I was thinking, surely not my purse, my wallet in the recycling tip. But no, it was fine, because actually, as I was walking away from the car, it appears I dropped it on the floor. So that's all right then, isn't it? I get a bit scatty when my hormones are skew-if. I probably should just stay locked in for the day, really. It'd be safer. Oh, my sanctuary. Here she comes. Let's say, I think that there's more water in here now. I mean, we had a couple of heavy rain showers, but not that many. Yes, I've imagined it. I mean, there's still a spit of land exposed that wasn't like that before. But I'll know when I walk around the other side. I better tell. I reckon it does look a bit more full. I hope so. I really just do feel so much better being up here, out walking. I feel like I can think straight now. Yeah, I had a bit of a struggle today, actually. I'm not going to mention my bloody hormones again, but that doesn't help. That is a lot to do with it, really. And in the past, that's been blamed for when I've wanted to have a difficult conversation or express that I'm not happy about something. That's been used as an excuse rather than perhaps taking me seriously, which was really frustrating, because at the end of the day, when you feel like that, it's not that you're making things up and how you feel isn't real. It's just that, I said I wouldn't mention hormones, I am again, but basically for me, all it does really, I suppose it kind of acts a bit like an amplifier for anything that I've got going on under the surface that I'm trying to keep under the surface. It just comes out. But anyway, it's only really, I suppose, one day a month or half a day a month. It's not that bad, really. And the thing is, I think that's maybe when I'm more likely to get triggered as well. And I did today, because when I was looking at that box of negatives, I know I don't need them, yet I still had to go and check on a really old hard drive that I definitely had the digital copies. I mean, it's like my clients aren't going to need them. Their weddings that were like 15, 16, 17 years ago. Just checking there's no one behind me, paranoid. Anyway, as I was saying, I just wanted to check. I did have the digital copies of my clients' negatives, and when I looked at this really old hard drive, I found some little video clips I'd taken of my oldest nephew's 4th birthday at the miniature railway. He's 17 now, so it was a long time ago. I think it was 2008. And so I watched those, and it was really lovely. My mum was around then, but she's not in any of the video clips, sadly. But just seeing that was just like, oh, wow. It just reminded me of that time, just feeling happy with the nephews. Well, not that I'm not happy now, but feeling, I'm getting blinded. It's just, I remember that time of the boys being really cute, my mum being around, my husband actually is briefly in a couple of the clips as well, and it was a long time ago. I suppose it was a little bit triggering, maybe, and I just felt quite upset, but anyway, I'm okay now. And I think I'd spend a bit too long in the studio trying to sort stuff out, trying to get rid of things to take to the recycling centre, and looking at stuff that I could maybe take to the charity shop. And I think it got a bit overwhelming. But I feel great now that I'm up at the reservoir, out in the fresh air, by the water, sun on my face, blinding me. So letting go. I am much better than I used to be, but I do find it hard. And obviously, as I said before, if I want to live on a boat, I can't. I mean, I could store a few things up in my dad's attic, but I don't want to particularly use that as a dumping ground. I don't even want to store things there that I really would like at a later date. So maybe eventually I stopped living on a boat and I wanted a house or a flat or something, and there are some things I wouldn't want to get rid of really, but I couldn't take onto a boat because you've got really limited space. Right, my arm was aching, so actually let's see the lovely woodland walk, shall we? Right, as much as I'm all for self-love, I was getting a little bit bored of seeing my own face. Oh, look at the lovely sun coming through the trees, nice bit of flare there. I love these shadows that you get. I often take pictures of that, shadows of the trees. Hear birds singing and the A41, but I'll try and zone out of that. Oh, that must be a robin singing. Yeah, I think actually it will do me a world of good to get rid of a lot of stuff. I have done in the past. Not in a really extreme way, but during the pandemic, in lockdown, I used that as an opportunity to get rid of a lot of old clothes that's seen better days, and books and other stuff. So actually, the house isn't really, well, we do have a storage room with some stuff in it, but it's not cluttered really. It's just stuff that I've got in the studio, and I suppose, I started my business 17 years ago, and it feels a bit strange to get rid of things that I bought at a time when I was into doing portraits where you could, I'd try and style them a bit. So also I bought bits and bobs in case clients perhaps hadn't bought maybe quite the right type of clothes for a portrait, if they wanted more of a sort of glamorous portrait, almost had a bit of a fashion vibe. And I did enjoy that at the time, so I remember buying a lot of red tulle and making a sort of fake dress. This young lady, actually she used to work in our local pub before she went off to university, but I kind of made a pretend dress. She put on the red sort of top thing, which actually I think I just got on eBay quite cheaply, and then I just literally safety pinned the tulle to the top. It all kind of fell apart afterwards, but I really enjoyed that, but I'm not into that anymore, and I think I just have to accept that's okay. It doesn't diminish what I did, and I just was really, really passionate about that style at the time. But I think I want a freer life where I'm not maybe held back by things, even the studio, which I love, and I am going to have to get rid of it. I am going to have to sell it eventually because I own it with my husband, so obviously I can't just keep it for myself. Right, we'll go this way. So I could possibly have it for another year, but I'm not sure if it will be much longer than that. So if anyone wants a photo shoot, you better get in quick. I just love beautiful oak trees. It's just lovely. Just let's share that a second. Okay, it's not an oak tree, but it's still nice. I just looked at the leaves, they're not oak tree leaves. I thought it looked like an oak tree shape, but there you go. So I guess I've been going through a bit of a process of letting go of maybe my style of work that I've done more or less for the past 10 years, I guess. So in the studio I use artificial lights. With my boudoir photography I like to create quite dramatic lighting with shadows. So when I let go of the studio and I no longer have it, I won't be able to do that style of photography exactly. I could potentially, I don't want to get into hiring studios really. I just feel like I need to do something different. I did think about that I could carry on doing boudoir photography in hotels, really nice hotels, and just take my gear, and I could do that. Definitely, just that I'd need to just build in the cost of hiring the hotel, that's all. So, you know, there is that option. But actually I was also thinking, you know, when I first fell in love with photography, originally I liked photographing trees and landscapes and the sea. I've got caught up with a prickle. Let go of me! Let go! Look. Oh. Right, this prickle has got some attachment issues. Oh God, right. Right, leave me alone, set me free. That's lovely. See, just appreciating countryside just brings me such peace. Nice spot. When I first got into photography, I didn't think I'd ever be confident enough to photograph people, which is partly why that's not the reason I photograph landscapes. I just really love the countryside. I dreaded the idea of telling people what to do. Obviously I got over that because I ended up photographing people with no clothes on sometimes, so you know, I moved on a bit. So I did push myself out of my comfort zone and it paid off. I've gone off on a tangent. Yeah, so what I was going to say is when I first fell in love with photography, and I did for about 6 months I did an evening course at City and Guilds, just the basic photography where you learn because I had a manual camera then, it wasn't on digital or anything. You had to set the exposure yourself and take a light meter reading and everything, you know, old school, using film. And we developed film as well. I loved that so much. When I was learning about photography on my City and Guilds course, I learnt about the Magnum photographers, documenting, you know, society and wars and things. I loved the idea of documenting, preferably a kind of artistic way. So when I did weddings, the old traditional style was going out the window a bit, and people were starting to be a bit freer with shooting weddings. But it's quite stressful really, and especially as I'm actually naturally an introvert, so that was way out of my comfort zone. And I sometimes feel sick before I left the house to go and shoot a wedding. So after about 6 years of shooting weddings, do you know, it's only 6 years. It felt like I'd been doing it about 10 or 15 years, to be honest. So with the boudoir, I was attracted to it partly because I loved the idea of transformation and being able to show a woman an image of herself in a way that she may never have seen herself before, especially if, you know, she's got married and she's now had kids, and you know, she's working and maybe she sees herself as a mother now, and perhaps might have forgotten herself a little bit because she's now looking after other people, that kind of a thing. There's all sorts of reasons for that. You know, boudoir photography helps make women feel good. It's not for everyone, but I've always had really good feedback from my clients. And yeah, I think there's a little bit of that element of fantasy, I suppose. It's doing something out of the ordinary that feels a bit brave, definitely out of most women's comfort zone, I think. And obviously, you know, they're not models, they're just everyday women, you know, like me, like you, unless you're a guy watching. And of course I would guide them and you know, direct them and show them what to do, and I will be obviously very warm and kind towards them because I will treat people how I want to be treated and make it fun, really. My studio isn't very big, so I developed a style of photography that that fitted within the space of my studio, and I painted the wall quite dark at the time, so I developed a style that was quite dark and moody and dramatic, but I loved it. I'm getting a bit blinded now. because I'd always been really drawn to the old Hollywood style of lighting from the early to mid 20th century, with lots of shadow that would carve out the actress's cheekbones, and I would bring a bit of that into my boudoir photography. So even women that thought that they couldn't see their cheekbones, I would make sure they had cheekbones in the images, which you can do with the way that you light, and I just absolutely loved it, and that was my passion for many years. And I guess in a way I loved the idea of transformation, because growing up I always felt forgotten and quite plain and rejected at school. I mean, I wasn't bullied, I was never bullied or anything, but I sometimes felt invisible, and I had I think I probably had quite a low opinion of myself, not a lot of self-worth. So I loved the idea of showing women looking confident and sexy, and there's nothing wrong with looking sexy. I mean, if that wasn't something we were interested in, we wouldn't even be here. There'd be no procreation, let's be honest. So it's a natural part of life, and just because you get older or you have kids, I don't think you should forget that part of yourself. And for me, boudoir photography isn't about anything overt or overly erotic. It's more I think I was trying to convey something that was a bit more sensual, and also just really I wanted to keep it classy and respectful to my client and tasteful, and I think you can achieve that with the way that you direct clients, pose them, talk to them, how you make them feel. It doesn't, unfortunately, I have seen boudoir photography, but personally I find it looks a little bit cheap and trashy. That's maybe some people love that, and that's fine. That's, we're all different. It's just not my thing, that's all. Anyway, I think I was living a little bit vicariously through maybe making my clients happy, and I think I might have touched on that in my first video actually, so I won't bang on about it. But through my own self-growth over the past few years, I think maybe that need that I had is no longer relevant, and it's time for me to do something maybe different. It may still be something related to what I'm doing now, but just in a different way. I don't know. This is something I'm going to have to explore. I guess it's taken me a little while to process the idea of a new direction, because I was so passionate about my photography and how I photographed people in my studio that it almost made me slightly sick, the idea of stopping it. But I do need to change of direction, and breathe new life into my work, and not do the same thing year in, year out. I can't really do that. I need to evolve. I think we all should really evolve. I think that's the idea that we're here, really. I'm just going to have a little look through here. I want to see if there's a bit more water in the reservoir, and I keep going off on a little tangent. Hang on. Now it was down here where I said, oh! It's okay, everyone's fine. God, perhaps I should look where I'm going. Now I love this little spot. This place is quite special to me. Look at this tree, these old roots. Yeah, I came down here and let go of some of my beliefs, things I need to let go of. If you see my second video, I'm just trying to climb down here, my second video with a little paper boat on it, that's where I set it off here, except there was a bit more water. Oh yeah, it's still pretty dry. Okay, so to be honest, the water was coming up to, well, about here really, and now it's over there somewhere. Oh, look at that sunset. Oh, lovely. It's done me a world of good coming up here today. Lovely. Yeah, I've had to let go of stuff, and I'm still letting go, but sometimes I think you have to let go of things when you feel ready. a bit like when somebody passes away. Well, when my mum passed away, I think it was about a year before I took her clothes to a charity shop, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're all different and we deal with grief in different ways, and sometimes maybe you just have to get on with it. I do actually envy people that can just get on with it quickly, but that's just the way I am, and maybe I'll get better and stronger and quicker at letting go of things as I go on. How about you? What are you like? Do you find it easy? I think we've all got attachments one way or another, haven't we? That's that horrible old skip. Nice, in a beauty spot. Okay, right, I'm going to give my arm a break now. I may stop here, but I'll say goodbye before I do. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I was going to make something healthy for dinner, but now I fancy something really unhealthy, and I really fancy a glass of red wine, a large one. So I think that's what I'm going to do this evening. So, see you later. Bye.